Okay, let's just dive right in. We talk a ton about values and leadership, right? Integrity, courage, transparency. But let's be honest, most of the time, they're just words on a poster in the break room. Today, we're going to stop treating values like they're just fridge magnets and start treating them like an actual algorithm for how we act. We're talking about provable actions, not just, good intentions. I want you to really let that one sink in for a second. Seriously, go look at your calendar from last week. Where is the proof? Where is the hard evidence of what you claim to stand for? Because if you can't find it, you're not leading with values. You're just leading with vibes. And let me tell you, vibes do not build trust when things get tough. So, in this explainer, we are cutting through all the fluff. We're going to take those abstract, kind of cloudy values and turn them into concrete weekly actions. Actions that your team, and more importantly, you, can actually hold yourself accountable for. Now, what's so fascinating about all this is something I call the intention gap. You know what I'm talking about? It's that space between the leader we want to be and the leader we actually are when the pressure is on. And that gap, that's where trust goes to die. Let me show you exactly what I mean with a quick story. So I once coached this director, we'll just call her Sarah, and on paper, Sarah was all about transparency. It was her number one value. It was the thing she talked about in every single all-hands meeting. It was, for her, the gospel. But then the Q3 metrics came in, and they were not good. And what happened? Suddenly, Sarah's calendar filled up with these back-to-back private meetings. The metrics update got delayed. The bad news got buried deep in some long email thread. And her team? Oh, they smelled the fear immediately. Why? Because believing in transparency is not the same as practicing it. Her actions created this massive credibility gap. So how do we close that gap? Look, it's not about just trying harder or having better intentions. It's about having a better system, an algorithm, really. And I'm going to give you a super simple 3-step algorithm that turns your identity into undeniable action. Okay, step 1 is you have to define what I call the one action rule. We're focusing on just one action because it kills all the ambiguity, it makes accountability dead simple. Your job is to take each of your values and attach it to a single, measurable, provable behavior. This is the action that proves the value actually exists out here in the real world. It's really this simple. First, you define that one key action. Second, you look for proof. That's what I call the receipt check. And third, you just make a tiny 1% upgrade for next week. So let's break down that first step with some real-world examples. All right, let's take courage. The lie we all tell ourselves is, oh, I speak up when it really matters. But that's so vague, right? It totally lets you off the hook. The one action rule, ask the hard question in every high-stakes meeting. That could be as simple as saying, hey, what if we're totally wrong about this launch date? See, that's provable courage. What about clarity? The lie is, I try to communicate well. Well, trying isn't doing. The one action rule is brutally specific. Summarize the decisions and action items in the first 3 lines of the follow-up email. Boom. No one has to guess. The clarity is right there at the top. And finally, care. The classic lie is, I have an open door policy. Come on, that's so passive. It puts all the burden on your team. The one action rule is active. Do one genuine, non-work check-in per day. And I don't mean, how's that report coming? I mean, what's the best thing you watched or read this week? It shows you care about them as a person, not just a producer. Okay, so once you have your one action rules all defined, it's time to move to the second, and honestly, the most crucial step of this whole algorithm. It's time to find the proof. Let's actually put this into practice. Imagine your week just ended. I want you to ask yourself this question and be honest. Where is the proof? It's time for what I call the receipt check. And where do you look? Open your calendar, scan your Slack DMs, read through your meeting notes. Did courage look like you saying, I was wrong in the team retro? Did clarity look like that perfect, bulleted recap email after a big meeting? You're literally hunting for tangible evidence. And this really is the core idea right here. A stack of real receipts will always outweigh a cloud of good intentions. If you can't find a receipt, the value didn't exist that week, period. It doesn't matter how much you wanted to be courageous. What matters is what you actually did. So after you've audited your week, it's time for the final step of the algorithm. This is all about making small, sustainable progress. It's time for the 1% upgrade. Hey, don't try to go from 0 to 100 here. Just choose one of your behaviors to amplify next week. If your receipt check showed you had, say, 3 genuine care check-ins this week, great. Now commit to 5 next week. That's it. This is how you hardwire your identity.
You're not changing who you are, you're just making who you are more visible.
Now, if you really want to accelerate this whole process and build unbreakable trust with your team, you have to take this algorithm public. You've got to make it social.
So here's the challenge for you. This week, I want you to post your 3 core values and their very specific one-action rules right in your main team channel. This isn't just about your personal accountability anymore. You are now setting the algorithm for the entire team. And then you ask a powerful and, yeah, a little terrifying question. When did you see me live these values this week? Send me the receipt. This changes everything. You're literally inviting your team to hold you to the standard you set for yourself. This is how real trust is built.
So the whole point is this. It's time to stop leading on hope and start leading on proof. Hope is a vibe. Proof is a value in action. And that's the difference between a leader who talks a good game and a leader who actually changes the game. You know, at the end of the day, the highest form of self-awareness is recognizing that gap between your words and your walk. This algorithm, it's your tool to close that gap. And when you do, your leadership, your influence, your impact, it's all going to be transformed. The only question is, are you ready? So here's my challenge to you right now. Down in the comments, post your top 3 values and the one specific behavior, your one action rule that you will practice this week. Make it public. Create your own accountability loop starting today. Let's see what you've got.